did Friday night and Saturday night on the beach, in by boat, out by boat, so you don't want anything getting wet, so cameras have got to be dry and all your gear's got to be dry as well. So quite an awkward one. Then there's not going to be any firewood, so you're going to have to use gas and hexi blocks and anything you can find pretty much. We also did fishing, so I'll take you through it and say what cock-ups I found. Right, okay, so in this box was the camera you're in. This is the little pouch to keep it dry and safe. Right, then I also got the SJ400 with a head mount, so I can film with my phone, because I've got a waterproof phone. Right, Lesnar headlight, which is excellent for filming with at night. The biggest disappointment with this is this light at the back here. Oh, sorry, I've taken the batteries out. But every time you use this torch, you have to spin the batteries round. Where are we? Plus that one. Because if you put that in your kit and that button gets knocked, those lights stay on. You can see that? And then they'll just sit in your kit and go flat. And there is no way of stopping that button from working. Now this light, which is pretty bright, and then you double click it and it goes twice as bright. This light, there's a plug here you can disconnect. So if there was some way of disabling that button, I would do it. I may look into it, see if there's a wiring diagram or something online, or just some way of disconnecting it, because that makes the torch an absolute pain in the arse. Right, and then I had a little spare torch, which is just kind of a walking around torch. It's like a £6 off AliExpress job with a dimmer on it, but great little torch. IPK cordage, which I made a long line out of, so yeah, I would have taken that again. Loads of batteries for torches, because which I'm glad I took as well, because the Lesnar came 4 batteries before I even started. The charger for my video camera with a cigarette lighter charger, which is for charging off a 12 volt. This is an alarm battery that I've jury rigged a cigarette lighter to. And then I've put a lump of rubber on the bottom as well, so you don't want batteries getting too cold, because it will muller them. I know it doesn't really matter this time of year, but I was thinking cold and wet. Selfie stick, which I didn't actually use this time. I'm more using the little grippy tripod and just standing that in water on the beach, and so yeah. That's a little microphone that will go in my phone. Didn't do a lot of shooting on my phone, so I didn't need that. Spare batteries, and then another balls up was, this is the one that I charged my phone with, but I forgot the lead. But luckily I managed to borrow a lead off of Tim, so that was kind of sorted. What else have I got here? Oh, a little rubber cap for going the cigarette lighter, and an SD card holder. So that's kind of that tin sorted out. Right, clear water bottle, so you can tell if your stuff is contaminated or not. So there was no water source there, so I took 10 litres of water and I ended up using about 9.5 litres with cooking, drinking water, because it was ever so hot, and then like cups of tea and washing your hands. Most of the time I kind of like washed my hands in the sea and then rinsed off in fresh water. Right, right, little Poundland kind of stool thing. I'm sure you've seen these, but it's just kind of like a little squat seat, which is good for when you're like cooking and things, because just kneeling on the ground all the time ends up making your legs ache, and just it's not a bad little stool. Instead of taking a whole massive chair, it folds up to nothing and it weighs virtually nothing. Right, let's see what we've got in this one. Right, took the Mora, nice bright one. If I dropped it in the sea, I'd be able to see it and it would float, possibly. And didn't want it to like get mashed into the sand, so I didn't want to lose anything, so thought I'd go for that one. Also stainless steel, so it's not going to rust with all the salt water if you're prepping fish or anything. And that can go straight in the dishwasher when I get home if it stinks of fish. So I took a little catapult. Unfortunately I snapped the bands, but that was good for like targets practice, just picking stones up off the beach. So I would take that again. Spare gas, I did finish a gas, so that's good. Here. This is the big disaster I had. Right, we'll get to this one. Right, these little Webtex type cups for coffee and stuff. Stainless steel, go straight to the dishwasher as well with that. Really, really good. You boil enough water for 2 cups of coffee, make one, drink it, save the other one. Then 3 or 4 hours later you think, I'll have a coffee, pick it up, and it's still boiling hot. Just for saving fuel in theory and time. Quite a good one to make yourself a drink before you go to bed, and if you wake up in the night you can have a hot chocolate or something if you're feeling a bit chilly. Got some meths left over, this was like an emergency stash in case I did run out, for a Trangia burner. Got 1 packet of coffee left, so I sort of kind of timed that quite well. There was just a like ground sheet thing. I thought I might be able to put up a tarp of sorts or some sort of shelter. Or fortunately, there's no trees there, and there was literally no washed up beech wood or sticks or anything to kind of make you know, a tarp or supports from. So if I'd taken, you know, walking staffs or something, like walking poles or a staff or something, I may have been able to, but that didn't actually get used, so that goes in the not used pile. Bit of mesh, we did use this. What we actually did was these are for a zebra billy can, you've probably seen them in other videos, so you've got a little kink in that and some raised up sides, so you stick that in the ground, stick your zebra billy can in that near the fire. You can also pop that on top for a smaller billy can or cooking food on, but other people use this, and I also put this on top of my little fold up burner. Right, this is an absolute disaster. In a minute. Zebra can with a clip modification on it. This is just one I bent up myself, so you can pour hot water with it, take the lid off, and you can pour nice hot water, and it isn't going to break, and then you just knock it back in, and that's fine. But I only got it as like a pouring device and keeping just knock it over, and that keeps the handle up in the air as well when you're boiling water, so the handle's not going to be as hot, so you can just, you know, pick it straight up and still going to need gloves, but you get the picture. Jet boil, runs on gas, absolutely brilliant for quickly boiling water, because the meth is good, but boiling water with the gas nice and quickly and then adding it to something was really useful. Unfortunately, I completely destroyed this. I was making like bannock bread kind of thing in my zebra can, but it was very windy and it wasn't really suitable for a Trangia. So I had the zebra can all lined with aluminium with some stones in the bottom to transfer the heat and cook the bread, and then I had the jet boil with the jet boil stand on it with the zebra can on there, but the wind was still too strong because you're a very open area, so I put a windscreen up against it, and the windscreen still didn't help, so I wrapped tin foil right the way around. and made like a little sort of a complete shelter around it, and then left some gap at the bottom to let the air in and a hole at the top to act as a chimney to let the heat out. Fortunately, it all got way too hot inside this little steel pyramid, and I've completely melted the bottom, and it was kind of sitting there, and then the pot started leaning over to one side, and I was like, why is it doing that? Then I smelt plastic. By then, way too late. But I was surprised it wasn't actually that hot. Well, it probably was, because you think you've got a stainless steel pot with no water in it, so that was probably glowing red. So yeah, so it probably was that hot. But bit surprised it melted, but my own stupidity really. But the bread was really, really nice. So if you want to see my video on how to make £100 bread, the rest of the jet ball's fine. So if I can locate another burner, that would be awesome. Right, usual med kit, toothbrush. What we got in here? Let's check. Yeah, just med kit, toothbrush, little gillet flannel thing for kind of washing, and some wet wipes and stuff. I won't go through that, it's quite tedious. Mess burner in a fly fishing reel case. Did really well. Wasn't too friendly with the wind, but when I did use it, it was fine. Came back with a couple of packets of rice that I was going to boil up, but didn't really have them in the end. One snack shot. I did have a couple of these while I was out. Santan lotion. I'm ginger, for God's sake. It was hot. I used loads of it, and so did other people, because everyone else forgets their sunscreen apart from the ginger bloke. Mints, hot chocolates, coffees, all of that's pretty much been caned apart from the peanut butter, and there's some tissues and some safety matches left in there. Safety matches, survival matches. Roll of tin foil that destroyed a jet boil. I really wish I hadn't taken it, because I'm a plonker. It was good for the bannock bread. Vegetarian tomato noodles. Basically, I put this in case we caught a fish. Then you can chuck this in, some fish in with this, and have a nice sort of tomato noodle fishy dish. Unfortunately, Tim was the only one to catch a fish, and then there was a chicken pasta and mushroom I'd left over as well. I just wasn't hungry enough to eat it. Little Laplander saw in case we got any driftwood. Didn't need it. There wasn't anything to chop up, but it was kind of like there if I needed it, so I probably would take it again. But being green, they're just so easily lost. I kept it in my bag the whole time. Right, in the top here, loads of carabiners and stuff, always dead useful. In the top, this is my long lining hooks. So I've got 5 hooks on a cork with the wire wrapped round, and then like a little noose. Dead good. The lines are too long. The long line, we couldn't get it high enough off the ground, so pretty much fed the crabs, because we just didn't have the sticks to put in the ground. If we'd had some longer poles, a good like 1.5 meters of pole, push it in about 500 mil to get it off the ground and get it away from the crabs, that would have been, I probably would have caught something pretty good. In here, me little foraging pouch. Brilliant thing. We foraged some. I've got some plums. I foraged some tinder, and also when we was playing with the catapult, really good for like just putting a load of stones in, so they're right near your waist. You're not changing your feet position the whole time. So you just reach down, stone, bang, next one, next one, next one, and then you can kind of get your eye in with the target practice. Then some bin bag type things. Brilliant for waterproofing stuff, just sort of put a bag over it if it's expected rain or on that boat. A few people borrowed them, and for rubbish obviously. And we did a big scavenge along the beach anyway. Some painkillers, more tissues, some paracord. I didn't actually need it because I was going to do a lot more long lines, but because we didn't have the wood, I didn't bother. Got there a tub of tinder, which was good for teaching other people basic firelighting, since we're all sort of there to learn, so I'm glad I took that. In there I've got some Nordic summer bug repellent stuff and some aloe vera I put on like the back of my neck because I thought I was a bit sunburnt, just got my skin feeling tight. So that's good. Right, then into the main bag. This is the main stuff I took. Because the weather report was so vague, I had Gore-Tex trousers and a Gore-Tex top. Then another bag of bits and bobs in here. What do we have in here? The DD Hammocks bag had a 25 metre net in it. The net was dragged out. I think a boat must have clipped it because he came right into shore with a keel and ripped the net to pieces. So we just ended up throwing it on the fire because it was full of weed and all knotted up where it spun round. This shimong or whatever, shimal or whatever the hell you call them, really good for keeping the sun off your, like the back of your neck, and it sort of keeps you cool as well. You can filter water, definitely take that again. And it's ginger right down the bottom here. Just a random bit of cordage for dragging stuff about, thought I might need it, didn't bother. It's sort of out of my hammock suspension, I just threw it in, probably just because it was laying around. Me ferro rod I made, really good for teaching people because it's a nice large size so you can hold it and get a few strikes off of it. So yeah, showed 3 or 4 people basic firelighting with that and the tinder. Another bunch of paracord that I didn't actually get around to using. And then we've got emergency hexi blocks and some fire dragon gel as well. Because I just didn't know how much fuel we were going to use, didn't know if anyone else needed fuel. But that would have been darn sight better to cook the bread on that. Then I've got me cheap bush box. Little fold flat stove thing. Really good. The titanium Life Adventure frying pan cum plate thing, brilliant. Weighs nothing, fits in with that. That's like a brilliant little go-to set. That'll burn wood, that'll take a Trangia, that'll take fire gel, that'll take hexi blocks. So yeah, really universal, really flat fitting kit, and you got your bacon right there. Another thing I didn't take was vegetable oil or lard or anything like that. But luckily everyone takes that, so I just nicked theirs. Had the Audi 1999 tent that was actually reduced to $9.99. So good little one-man tent, very weak at the seams, a few little tears and nicks in it, straight out of the bag. A bit crap, but in the weather we had, it was absolutely fine. As soon as the wind got up though, the pegs for it are absolute tosh. Because a lot of people say, oh, you're going to modify it before you go. It's like, well, I'd rather use it and see how I get on with it. So, needs better pegs, needs the... I'll pack them separately. This pole, you need to cut about ½ an inch off of it because it's just too long and the tent is too taut. It's just fighting itself and stretching your seams too much. Some IPK pegs, completely useless. Thought they would be good for blowing fire or pegging my tent down, but the terrain just wasn't suitable for them. Right, this is a Carrymore little waterproof bag thing from Chadland, Sports Direct. Let's just see what clothes we took. Help for Heroes jumper, brilliant. There's a pillow, completely useless in the summer when you think it's going to be a lot colder than it is. another kind of fleece that I thought if it gets chilly at night I can put that on. Didn't end up wearing that, so that was a waste of time. Swimming shorts, fantastic, went swimming. My gloves, really good for handling crabs with. I caught I put the nets out and I caught about 200 crabs, and they were unbelievable. Yeah, these are they're like crayfishing pots. Well, they are crayfishing pots, but we did some rabbit prep, and we had the bones left over, so I chucked them in the rabbits and then left them in the sea, tied them, stuck them in a stake, and in the morning this was full up with about 200 crabs, both nets, unreal. And then we salvaged the crabs and ate them. Good times, but you don't get a lot of meat off of them. It was a bit pointless. You could probably make stock out of them or something, but it's not really worth killing that amount of crabs just for stock. The only thing against these, which I didn't notice when I bought them, but I noticed as soon as they arrived, just pop that open. If you buy any, get them with a zip, because to reach in there and get the crabs out every time is an absolute pain in the arse. Especially with that number. Obviously, with gloves on you're not going to get bitten, but it's just took forever. Instead of just opening the zip, shaking them all out, taking the bigger ones, jobs are good, because there's so many tiny little ones in there. So yeah, that's that. Right, back to clothes. Yeah, t-shirt, that's fine, just a t-shirt for the sake. Spare socks, and then me screw fix multi-pocket trousers. If anyone hasn't seen these are hound holster trousers. So you've got Cordura knees, nice and tough. You can put knee pads in them for when you're kneeling around the fire. Keeps your knees dry as well. You've got a pocket there, which is admin random stuff. More Cordura on the corner of the pockets. Decent pockets, and then you've got these big holster pockets. When you first get these trousers, those pockets will annoy you, but when you go on camp and you're putting a knife in there and you're putting tinder in there and kind of using them as tinder pouches, they're actually really useful. Then Cordura on the bottom of the trousers, and then Cordura edging around the bottom of the trousers, around the leg. So yeah, tough trousers. I've got 3 pairs of these in black, and I wear them constantly at work for over a year, and they're still fine. One of them has burst the stitching at the bottom of one of the pockets, but for a steel worker that's pretty impressive. Loads of socks, because when you walk around the beach you get wet feet, you've got to keep changing your socks, so there's just a ton of socks there, and a little face smock, which kind of you use as a blindfold when you're laying in a tent, because tents are so bloody bright. So just stick that over your bonce and blindfold yourself so you can actually get some sleep. Right, a little Gellet. This was $9.99 inflatable mat, like a Lilo. Worked really, really well. When I bought it, I pumped it up, checked it before I took it out, and it went flat. And I've been very, very careful with it, hoping that it hasn't been pricked or burst or anything. I think you've got to blow it up by hand, but for a tenner, really good, and more reliable than the foam ones. I've not had a good experience with them things ever. This is out of my military modular sleep system, the MSS. This is just the patrol pack. So I've taken the Gore-Tex off, and I've taken the intermediate bag off, so this is just the scout bag on its own, and that squeezes down nicely into a Carrymore dry bag, 5 litre dry bag, which was on special for $3.99, and I thought the last thing you want to get wet going across a boat is your dry bag. So I wasn't sure how close we could get to the shore. I was thinking we may have to make a run for it. Sleeping bag liner as well. I thought if it's a bit chilly, you're going to be wearing your clothes, you're going to be dirty, getting in with dirty trousers and that, so I didn't want to be getting me bag dry clean or anything, so sleeping bag liner, nice little pot like that, absolutely fine. Microfiber towel, which was good for drying off when I went swimming, and that's one with the antibacterial where you hang it up and it's supposed to sort itself out. Adventure Ridge is just an inflatable pillow. Could have used a jumper, but you know, it's just a luxury. It weighs nothing, it's just the space it takes up. And then everything inside my bag I put in one massive dry sack that goes inside my Bergen, which is a little one. They were like $6.99 on special. Really tough, really waterproof, because the last thing I want is wet clothes, even though they were already bagged. Little cutting board, which I did the rabbit prep on, because you don't want to be working in the dirt. So I always take a cutting board, and that's dead thin, dead light, well worth having. And lastly, these are the little pouches Colonel Chimp said to get, which I've got my soy water filter in. It looks like a heroin kit. Just need a little silver spoon in there and I'll get a visit to the police station. Didn't end up using it, mainly because the organiser of it, Clive from European Bushcraft, his insurance doesn't cover anyone to drink filtered water, so if I'd made myself really ill drinking that, I wouldn't have got my big compo payout. And that is it. Nothing else, yeah. That's it. Fantastic weekend, and I can shut up now. See you later.